Okay, it is about 5:47 upon my watch, and I'm going to call the special session of the May 15th City Council meeting to order. And with that, where's the agenda? Here it is. Do I have an agenda for this?
It's general business, resolution number 1105. It's here. Can you hand that to him?
Sorry. Oh, this? Oh, here it is. That's why I didn't have it. I got it. Thank you. All right. And the reason for this meeting is to talk about general business under resolution number 1105, authorizing the submittal of a grant to the Oregon Department of Transportation Carbon Reduction Program. Before I turn it over to Julie, I just want to acknowledge that Councilor Sims is here, Councilor Patty, and Councilor McDonald. Councilor Giglio and Councilor Ort are going to be late. With that, Julia, go ahead.
Yes, so first of all, thank you for entertaining this special session. We didn't want to have pull you all together just for this, but we needed to have this resolution passed before the end of May so that I could submit a grant application for basically a grant that will allow us, if we get it, it would allow us to purchase an electric transit van that would have the capabilities of doing robotic TVing of the pipes, primarily the wastewater lines. It's a grant program through the Oregon Department of Transportation Carbon Reduction Program, and I actually got this idea looking at some of last year's award winners. One was actually the city of Albany received an electric street sweeper. Unfortunately, I saw it after we had already ordered our street sweeper, so then I asked Lance, if he had any other things that he could use electric, vehicles and support for, and this is what he came up with. We budget about $400,000 a year for us to contract this out. Lance says we don't actually spend $400,000 a year, so that's why under the fiscal impact, we said it was between $250,000 and $400,000 a year that we would be saving by having this van that would be paid for through the carbon reduction program, and we would have a 10.27% match. So we would potentially be saving $250,000 to $400,000 for a cost of about $21,000, and then have the ability to be more proactive and quickly reactive when we need to do TVing of lines. So through the grant program, they require, as part of the submittal, you to document where it's in a plan. If it's not in a plan, which this isn't, then we need to have a resolution of support from the City Council. So that's what this request is for, is it basically says that you support us submitting this application and allows me to do so.
Okay, thank you. This is an opportunity for public comment, and so we have a lot of public in the house tonight. Does anyone have any comments? Doesn't sound like it. With that, council discussion.
Hey, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor McDonald.
I mentioned this before, probably 2 or 3 times since I've been a councilor, but I would also suggest again we look into electric vehicles for the police department. There are outfitters. I've looked into this, and there's outfitters out there that specialize in outfitting not only Teslas, but now there's Chevy Blazers and things that are all electric. That I don't know if there's a similar program for police vehicles, but I'm a big advocate for those, and the great thing about those is the fueling costs and the maintenance costs are extremely low. The purchase price is sometimes somewhat higher, but over time you save money in the long run, and they're easy to operate. And from what I've read, the police departments across the country that have implemented them have really liked them. So something to look into.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Councilor Patty.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. To be honest with you, initially when I had seen this proposal, I was kind of thinking, oh yeah, this is great, free money. And I've kind of gotten in a habit of that because our city manager has found a lot of opportunities for that for this city, and I just want to compliment her first off. Following that, I do have some questions just in general. What does like maintenance of this vehicle look like? Who's responsible? What do we estimate that to be? Could this eventually start kind of dwindling our pocketbook and being a net negative at any point? Those are kind of my questions about it.
And I don't have a great answer on the maintenance cost because I'm not certain. It would be our responsibility. Certainly a new vehicle is going to have less immediate maintenance costs than something that's not new. So that's something that we certainly will want to look into. And if it gets to that point, then we'll have to make decisions on whether or not we stop using this vehicle and contract out or do something different.
But if I'm understanding, the only cost to us is the money match. It's about $20,000.
Correct.
And so we stand to gain, this larger amount, obviously, even if we were to have this for a couple years.
Right.
Do it.
Right.
Okay.
The cost of the vehicle is estimated to be $173. We added some contingency into that at the recommendation of ODOT, and so if it's more than that, then I think it's about $200,000 that we would be applying for, and we would have our match, and then so we'd have a vehicle that's essentially paid for, except for that 10.27% match, and then we would be saving on the contract that we're not having to spend annually. Yes.
I have some questions as well. Counselor, you done? So Julia, currently, how many months out of the year is the contract utilized? He's not here.
Lance isn't here yet. I'm not certain.
Okay.
I believe it is year-round because it's essentially TVing lines as needed and throughout the city. I think he said he budgets about 400 hours a year.
Yep, but you said you didn't use it all, so that's why I was curious.
Yeah.
And I've watched the presentation before in the past. So another question: what will the fuel source be?
It's electricity, so
I know. What will the fuel source be? Where are we going to plug it in at?
it will be at the Public Works facility.
Will it be plugged into Public Works facility?
Pardon?
Is there a current charging system at the Public
We will
Works
have
facility?
to add that as
How
well.
much does that cost?
I don't have that
You
off.
might want to check.
Yeah.
Will we be able to utilize this in the surrounding communities, like put it for rent on the surrounding communities? If they're
don't-
contracting out as well, it would seem that they have an
Yeah.
opportunity.
I would just have to check and see if there's any restrictions on receiving this
Okay.
grant, but assuming there isn't.
Okay. The 173,000, is that inclusive of all the equipment in the van or just the van itself?
All the equipment in the van.
Okay. I mean, on its face, you think, yeah, that's a lot of savings here, and it makes sense. My concern is that the way the electric vehicle market is today, it's basically done a U-turn because of the situations for various reasons. Ford, for example, stopped making their electric Lightning. Some of the other manufacturers have done a U-turn because the demand wasn't there. I think from a standpoint in the future, we need to consider what this would cost us on a long-term standpoint. So obviously I see what's going on as far as the $20,000 seems insignificant to us in the grand scheme of things, but I think we need to find out how much the charger cost, what type of charger you're going to have, and how that's budgeted. So that's just my take on it. Council's decision.
Mr. Mayor, real quick.
Council, go ahead, McDonald.
From personal experience, adding a charger would probably range between $500 if you don't need a 240-volt outlet installed to $2,500-ish if you do.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. What would council want to do?
Real quick, Mr. Mayor, does staff think that they can just kind of get some kind of assurances that this isn't going to be kind of a cost, suck, essentially, for lack of a better term, and that we're not going to encounter some of these concerns that Mayor Quigley has kind of expressed here?
Yes, of course. And I did have a conversation with the program manager through ODOT, and we discussed the electric source and the need. I don't recall the exact amount, but it wasn't exorbitant. I think it was probably maybe a little bit more than $2,500, but not. I mean, it wasn't something that seemed concerning. So But we will certainly do our due diligence. This is due May 31st, so I don't have a lot of time to come back to the council. But if, you know, and I know Lance's staff has done some research in looking into this type of van, so, you know, we can certainly talk to some places that have these types of vans and see what those costs are, and if we feel that it's not the right thing to do, then we cannot submit the application. But it would be nice to have the authority and the approval to do so.
Got it. And just one more thing, highly interested in sharing this resource with surrounding communities, because I feel like that's a really good step into making some good partners in the canyon for sure, because I'm sure there's some kind of need there. But I mean, I'll vote in favor of this as far as what I'm seeing here at this point. Thank you.
Is that a motion, Mr. Councilor Petty?
Sure. I move to approve resolution number 1105, authorizing the submittal of a grant to the Oregon Department of Transportation Carbon Reduction Program.
Seconded.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve resolution 1105, authorizing the submittal of a grant to the Oregon Department of Transportation Carbon Reduction Program. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we will adjourn that city council meeting.